Everyone, let me throw out a completely random question. When an artist hits a creative wall, who do they turn to? The answer is the muse. Or rather, the muses. But why were there 9 of them? Why not 1, or 3, or 10? There had to be a reason. So today, we're diving into the mystery of the number 9, and the unique role each of these goddesses was meant to represent. Let's start with where the muses come from. In Greek myth, the muses are described as the daughters of Zeus and Mnemosyne, the goddess of memory. One famous version of the story says Zeus spent 9 nights with Mnemosyne, and 9 daughters were born from that union. That's where the number 9 first stands out. To the Greeks, 9 was not just a number. It often carried a sense of fullness and completion. People connected it to cycles of life, growth, and creation. So the idea of 9 muses may have been far from random. It feels more like a carefully shaped symbol. Now let's look at each muse, one by one, and think about why their roles were divided this way. The first, and maybe the best known, is Calliope. She is the muse of epic poetry. Works like the Iliad and the Odyssey were often linked to her inspiration. She is usually shown with a writing tablet and stylus, sometimes wearing a laurel crown. That image suggests something bigger than poetry alone. She was tied to the kind of storytelling that gives a people their identity and preserves their shared memory. Next is Clio. She is the muse of chronicles, memory, and the story of the past. What makes her interesting is that she was not just about keeping records. She was also tied to reflection, to the idea that people can learn from what came before and avoid repeating the same mistakes. That's why she is often shown holding a scroll or a book. It reflects a powerful idea from the Greek world. If something is never recorded, it can easily disappear. The third is Euterpe, the muse of lyric poetry and music. Her name is often linked to delight or joy. She is usually shown holding the aulos, a kind of double flute. Music, in this view, was never just entertainment. It was believed to lift the spirit, calm the mind, and even heal the inner self. So Euterpe stood for something deeper than pleasant sound. She represented the power of music to shape human emotion. Fourth is Thalia, the muse of comedy and pastoral poetry. Her name is often tied to festivity and abundance. She ruled over laughter and lightness. But that does not mean her role was small. In Greek thought, comedy could ease tension, expose flaws, and say bold things that serious voices could not always say directly. So comedy was not just about being funny. It was also a way of holding up a mirror to society. The fifth muse is Melpomene, the muse of tragedy. Her name seems to come from singing or celebration, which makes her role feel a little ironic. She is usually shown with a tragic mask, sometimes with a sword or club. Through her, suffering and sorrow were turned into art. She points to one of the deepest ideas in Greek storytelling. Pain can be transformed into meaning, and tragedy can bring emotional release. The sixth is Terpsichore, the muse of dance and choral song. Her name suggests delight in dancing. She is often shown with a lyre, sometimes as if she is moving to the music herself. In ancient Greek culture, dance was not seen as simple movement. It could be ritual, expression, and a way of reaching toward the divine. Through the body, people could share feeling, rhythm, and story. Terpsichore stood at the heart of that idea. The seventh is Erato, the muse of love poetry. Her name is linked to Eros, the force of love and desire. She is often shown with a rose crown and a lyre or kithara. Her role was to turn one of the strongest human emotions into art. Love poetry was not treated as shallow or sentimental. It was a way of exploring longing, beauty, connection, and the inner life of the human heart. The eighth is Polyhymnia, the muse of sacred hymns and powerful speech. She is often shown in a quiet, serious pose, deep in thought. Polyhymnia was tied to the force of words. A moving speech could stir a crowd. A hymn could lift the mind toward the divine. In that sense, language was more than communication. It was a force that could shape belief, feeling, and action. And finally, the ninth muse is Urania, the muse of astronomy. Her name comes from the sky. She is often shown with a globe and a pointer, studying the stars. What stands out here is that astronomy was placed alongside the arts. To the Greeks, watching the heavens and searching for order in the stars was one of the highest forms of thought. In a way, mapping the sky could be just as creative as writing poetry. So now that we've met all 9 muses, the big question returns. Why divide them this way? Why exactly 9? One way to read it is this. The 9 muses were meant to symbolize the full range of human creativity and knowledge. Poetry, music, dance, memory, speech, love, the stars. None of these stood alone. They were all connected, like threads in one larger web. The muses gave shape to that idea. In the end, the reason there are 9 muses may be that one figure alone could never hold all the forms inspiration can take. By giving each art, each voice, and each way of knowing its own muse, Greek myth suggests something beautiful. Creativity becomes strongest not when it stays in one narrow lane, but when it draws from many different sources at once. So which muse do you feel closest to right now? Maybe one of them has been quietly standing beside you this whole time. And maybe the reason you watched this video today is because one of those voices was already calling your name. The whirlpool of knowledge will stay with you, always searching for forgotten stories. Thanks for watching.